Greetings, loved ones. Today we're going to talk about mandatory reporting of child abuse. There are personal, professional, and legal reasons why professionals caring for citizens should become involved in preventing and reporting child abuse and neglect. Help us get these messages out. Please subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, hit the like button and the notification bell, and please share these messages with others. You could save a life. So when should child abuse be reported? All 50 states currently have mandatory child abuse reporting laws to qualify for funding under the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, called CAPTA. Although all states have some type of child abuse reporting law, each state differs in their application of these mandatory reporting laws. Honduran law has two forms of mandatory reporting. The first is Article 269 of the Penal Code process, which states that every official or public employee who on the occasion of his duties has knowledge of an act with criminal appearance, to doctors, pharmacists, dentists, medicine or dentistry student, nurses, paramedic, midwives, and other persons related to the exercise of professions, trades, and techniques related to health, who have knowledge of criminal action or omissions during the exercise of their duties and activities. The second is orden publico. So public order, orden publico, refers on the one hand to the normal situation that must exist in a community where we all respect our fellow men, the property of others, and the authorities and the law. On the other hand, public order, orden publico, consists of the duty of every person and every authority to denounce any person who commits violations of the law or in detriment to the rights of other people. Violence against any member of a vulnerable group in Honduras, which are women, children, the elderly, the disabled, LGBTQ, indigenous persons, and migrants, is considered orden publico, and any knowledge of any violence, abuse, etc., against any member of these groups falls under mandatory reporting. Mandatory reporting of child abuse refers to a legal obligation to report suspected or known child physical abuse or child maltreatment. Many people do not know that the failure to report actually carries a legal penalty. Mandatory reporting legislation overrides any professional code of conduct or ethical guidelines. For example, although the psychologist must maintain client confidentiality, they may break this confidentiality if a client reports that a child is being abused. Medical practitioners, psychologists, police officers, social workers, welfare workers, teachers, principals, and in many states, film developers are all mandatory reporters. Several states have broadened the list of mandatory reporters to any person suspecting abuse. Although mandatory reporting laws vary from state to state, there are some general guidelines to follow when determining whether to report abuse. The most obvious would be when a child reveals that he or she has been abused. However, often it will be a sibling, a relative, a friend, or an acquaintance that reveals the abuse. In some cases, a child may reveal that he or she knows someone who is being abused. In such case, there is a legal responsibility to report the abuse to the proper authorities, either the police or Child Protective Services. There are many signs of child physical abuse, and based on observations of a child, if abuse is suspected, it must be reported. It is important to note that proof of abuse is not required to make a report. The requirement is whether there is knowledge or suspicion of abuse. I'm going to note here, it's not your job to investigate. If there is suspicion of knowledge, the name of the suspected abuser and the child should be reported to Child Protective Services or the police immediately, along with their address. Do not investigate. Do not hold meetings to discuss what you should do with other people. Report it to the authorities immediately. And do not talk to the parents before reporting. Many times, a mother might be a victim too, and if you tell her, she might try to protect her abuser. We had a case in which a child revealed to her teacher that her stepfather was raping her. When the mother came to pick up the child from school, the teacher pulled the mother into the classroom and revealed what the child had said, and then the mother took the child home. The child never appeared in school again. And when the teacher went to their home after a 3-day absence, she discovered that the family had moved. Most states have toll-free child abuse reporting hotlines where anonymous reports can be made. There is also a national child abuse hotline provided by Child Help. So you can contact the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4-CHILD. I'll repeat that, 1-800-4-CHILD. Or if you want the numbers, 1-800-422-4453. The National Incident Study of Child Abuse and Neglect reports that there has been a 41% increase in the number of reports made nationwide. In Honduras, you can dial 911 for an emergency or a special line just for reporting child abuse at 110. However, reporting abuse does not necessarily mean that all abused, neglected children are being identified. Some research has indicated that many professionals fail to report most of the abused children they encounter. Hence, underreporting continues to be a major problem in the war against child abuse. And I want to insert here that here in Honduras we have this with 12-year-old girls going to the health center and they're pregnant, and those reports of sexual abuse are not being reported. Many doctors and nurses here in Honduras do not report abuse. According to the CDC, over half of all children in the world, that's 1 billion children, ages 2 to 17, experience violence every single year. The question is not if you will encounter a victim of violence. The question before God is, what will you do when you do encounter them? You could be the person who saves a life. Micah 6:8 says, He has showed you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. You are called. We are all called to be champions for justice. If you're a victim of violence, listen to me. You are valued. You are loved. You're intelligent, and you are worthy. I want you to know that there is a way out, and this is not your fault. Abuse is not love. And most of all, I want you to know that you are not alone. If you are suffering violence, please reach out to someone today. If you find yourself in a dangerous situation, call 911 for help. And if you know a child or other person suffering violence, tell the authorities. In our next episode, we will ask the question, who would hurt a child? Until then, God bless you.